you're literally trying to punch your friend in the face. What's up everyone, Jordan here at Totally Bored, and in this video I want to talk about why I prefer board games to video games. Video games are awesome, I can't stress that enough, but when COVID hit and I had video games and I was still playing with my friends, I still felt a lot of isolation. I wasn't really seeing a lot of people face to face, and I was really craving that. So that's actually why I got into board games. And when I eventually did learn more about some board games and eventually buy a few and hosted my own board game night, I very quickly learned that that's what I was missing. I was missing that face-to-face social interaction. Whether this be playing together and getting a last-minute win in Spirit Island when you thought it was unachievable, you're hugging your friends at the table, you're high-fiving everyone, or you're literally trying to punch your friend in the face. Or you get so mad at your friend and they can see the look of despair and sadness in your eyes when they edge out a last-minute victory against you in Great Western Trail. Player interaction is really at the core of what board games have to offer, and that's where they really outshine video games. The closest thing video games even have would be split-screen multiplayer, but these days most companies aren't even including that in their releases, so I'm not really taking that into consideration when I compare the two. When it comes to video gaming, you're pretty limited to the physical components that you have. For the most part, there's three choices. You have a controller if you're on console, or a keyboard and mouse if you're on PC. Now, you can get crazy with customizing your controller, maybe a SCUF or the Elite controllers with the unique paddles, and of course you can get real wild with the mechanical keyboards on PC and mice. But for the most part, you're limited to these three things. When it comes to board gaming, however, there is a huge variety of physical components. Nothing can beat that tactile feel of shuffling through my cards and choosing my attack in Gloomhaven, rolling die against my friend in Undaunted, moving my meeple across the board in Great Western Trail, or even using my player dial in Star Wars X-Wing. The physical components are a small touch, but they really differentiate board games from video games, and that's another reason why I prefer them. For the last 8 years of my career, I've worked in an office job where I'm on a computer at least 5 hours of my day. And what I usually used to do was come home and relax, watch some TV, maybe play a video game with my friends. And while I still do that occasionally, as I've made the shift towards board games, it's seriously so refreshing and so good for my freaking eyes to be able to come home and set up a physical board game where I can turn off all my screens, I can have my friends over. This kind of overlaps the first 2 points here, but I can have that social interaction, I can have these physical components, and I don't have to be staring at a screen all day. I know a lot of you young chaps out there who have great sharp minds and amazing 20/20 vision probably don't care yet, but as I get older, I just get really worn out from just staring at a screen all day, every day, and it's really draining for my mental. So this is a huge reason why I've made the shift over to board games and why I prefer them over video games. Now I know what you're thinking. Well, Jordan, what about Gloomhaven? That costs like $150. Well, you're correct. That's actually insane, but Gloomhaven is amazing. There are definitely some board games that cost a lot of money, a lot more than a video game would cost. But what you have to take into consideration is that there is no tech required. With board games, you buy the game, you play the game, and you're good to go. You don't have to worry about having the most up-to-date GPU or having the newest console in order to play the game you want to play. There's no lag, there's no stutters, there's no crashes, and overall there's a lot less upkeep with board games. That is a reason why I think they're cheaper, and another reason why I tend to prefer board games to video games. While I do think that video games have a lot of really cool, unique game mechanics for the players, I think nothing beats the sheer amount of mechanics that are offered in board games. You have things like deck building, dice rolling, drafting, action retrieval, hand management. I mean, the list seriously goes on and on and on. I'll actually put a picture of Board Game Geek's filter when it comes to game mechanics, and you can see for yourself just how crazy it is when it comes to what is offered in board gaming. I've been playing board games now for about 6 months, and I'm quickly learning that deck building is one of the game mechanics that I really enjoy, and it just really clicks with me. This is going to be found in games like Great Western Trail and the Undaunted series, two of which are some of my favorite games. And basically what this means is you start the game with a really small, weak deck of cards, and over the course of the game, you're performing actions that allow you to bring in new, really powerful cards. So by the end of the game, you have this monstrosity of a deck that allows you to make these really, really potent turns that can totally swing the game in your favor. That's just one mechanic when it comes to board gaming, and it's amazing in its own right. So the fact that there are literally so many different types of game mechanics in board games makes me want to try like every single board game on the planet and just see what I like, what I don't like, and just explore. So that's one of the main reasons why I do prefer board games over video games. In my opinion, most recent video game releases are a little stale. I feel like they're not really pushing the boundaries of what is possible when it comes to video games, and I don't know if that's going to change. I hope it does. I think video games are great, and I hope developers continue to push these boundaries and explore fun new mechanics. But until that comes, I still am going to prefer board games. Like I said earlier, I absolutely love video games. Some of the more recent ones I've played are Elden Ring and Hogwarts Legacy, and I'm super, super excited for the Resident Evil 4 remake. But as I've gotten older and as my mentality's shifted, I do prefer that social interaction, having a physical board out in front of you, turning off all the screens. It's really, really refreshing, and those are the reasons why I do prefer board games over video games. If you thought this video was absolutely trash and you think board games suck, you think video games are way better, please roast me in the comments and tell me why. If you did like this, hit that subscribe button. This is Jordan here at Totally Bored. I'll see you next time. Board grains and being awful whenever. Okay. Moko! What are you doing, bro? Get out of here.